Hi there, my name is Tiffany, and before we dive into this video today, I want to ask you something. Have you ever walked out of a business meeting where you were all business and jumped on a call with family and your accent suddenly got stronger? Then you met up with some of your friends where you just had yet become another version of yourself? Now that could be exhausting. And you could feel like at the end of those days, oh, there's a name for that. It's called code switching. And today we'll be talking about both the hidden costs and the surprising strengths it might be building you. Last month, I was working with someone, let's call her Maya. She had a leadership role in her company. Maya was a first generation American with parents from Nigeria. So Maya told me something. What she told me may sound familiar to you. She said every morning before work, she literally rehearses how to speak in meetings. She says she also monitors her hand gestures and she thinks about when to share cultural references and when to hold back. Then she said once she gets home, it's like her whole body exhales and she finally feels like she could just be. Does that sound familiar? Maybe it's your experience, or maybe it's not. Maybe you have no experiences that has to deal with race or ethnicity. Maybe you code switch between your professional self and your home self, or between the person you are with your family versus with your friends. Or maybe you present in religious spaces differently than in your social space. We all do to some extent, but for some people, especially those from minority backgrounds, this isn't just an occasion, it's a daily mental marathon. Code switching originally referred to bilingual people who alternated between languages, but now we use it to describe people how they adjust their speech, behaviors, appearances, and expressions to fit into different cultural contexts. Let me be clear about something. Code switching isn't fake or inauthentic. It's a sophisticated social skill that humans can develop to navigate complex social environments. But here is where I see the struggle in my practice, where code switching feels forced rather than chosen, where it is a survival rather than a social fluidity. That's where the psychological costs start adding up. The research is clear. Constantly monitoring your self-presence takes significant cognitive resources. It's like running multiple apps on your phone. Your battery drains faster. Let me share another example. A young client I work with, let's call him James. He's a young Black male professional who described code switching as having a translator in his head at all times. He says, I'm not just having a conversation, I'm simultaneous deciding how to have it. That extra mental processing is what researchers call cognitive load. That mental processing is what researchers call cognitive load. It's the mental energy being spent not on the task itself, but how you're being perceived while doing it. This isn't just about cultural or racial differences. Those have added significant layers. Think about how exhausted you may feel right after spending some time in any environment where you feel like you can't fully be yourself, right? Where you're constantly monitoring your words or your actions. Whew, that's exhausting. The pandemic actually showed us something interesting about this. When many people started working from home, they reported feeling both relief and disoriented as the boundaries between their professional and their personal selves blurred. Some felt authentic, others realized how much their identities were tied to those different contexts. Some studies show that constant code switching can contribute to emotional exhaustion, identity confusion, imposter syndrome, and higher levels of stress. Also shows us that people who successfully navigate multiple cultural contexts often develop greater emotional intelligence, enhanced perspective taking abilities, more creative problem solving skills, and stronger communication capabilities. And a study in 2019 found that employees who felt that they brought their authentic selves to work reported 54% lower burnout rate and 35% higher commitments to their organizations. But here's the challenging reality. Not everyone has the privilege of self-expression in all contexts. Systems of power and cultural expectations often determine who gets to be authentic and who needs to adapt. So, what can you actually do about this? Let me share some practical strategies I have seen work. First, create what I call authenticity anchors, spaces, relationships, and practices where you can fully express your identity. Even 30 minutes of authenticity can replenish your emotional resources. One simple practice, schedule a 5 minutes identity reset between contexts. So this may look like listening to music that connects you with your cultural roots before heading into a meeting, or having a brief phone call with someone who knows you and knows your authentic self. Second strategy, identify one small aspect of your authentic self that you can begin to integrate into spaces where you typically code switch. Maybe it's a subtle cultural reference, a personal story, or even a more natural speaking pattern. Third, and this might be the most important, find and create a community with others who understand your experience. The validation alone can be incredibly healing. I once worked with a group of professionals from various minority backgrounds who created what we call a cold switch and recovery group, a monthly dinner where we can process those experiences together. They reported it was more helpful than many other forms of support that we've ever experienced. Now, let's talk about the strengths you're building. People who navigate multiple cultural contexts are developing what researchers call cultural intelligence, and it's becoming one of the most valuable skills in our increasingly diverse world. Think about it. You are essentially practicing perspective taking every single day. You're building mental flexibility, communication skills, and social awareness in every context that you navigate. I've seen people transform this challenge into a remarkable stress. One client used her code switching experiences to become a more exceptional mediator between different teams within her company. Another became an incredible teacher because he could translate complex ideas and many different learning styles. Key is recognizing when code switching is a choice that empowers you versus when it is an expectation that depletes from you. And then intentionally creating more spaces where authenticity is possible. If this conversation resonates with you, I have created something special, a free guide called the Code Switching Toolkit, 7 practices for authenticity and well-being. It includes the complete strategies we've touched on today, plus journaling prompts, daily practices, and the self-assessment to help you identify your code switching patterns. Now, look in the description and click on that link and get instant access. I also want to hear your experiences in the comments. When do you find yourself code switching? What strategies have helped you maintain your sense of self while navigating different environments? I just want to let you guys know I enjoy spending time with you today. So please do the things that we do here. Subscribe, click the bell, comment, leave your experience, and I would love to see you in my next video. Take care.